So it's been a couple days. I took this back home after I flattened it, filled all the gaps. There's a bunch of gaps that were filled in the epoxy, that little pinholes. So I filled them all, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it all again with 80 grit. We're going to square these edges away, and then we'll look at finishing this thing. So hopefully, you know, pretty soon this thing's going to be done. It's turning out really well. I'm really happy with everything. The grain is coming out beautifully, and I'm just super excited. So let's get to work and get this thing finished. So I just finished cutting my first bevel. I went to do it with the table saw and realized the table saw doesn't do bevels on this one, so that was interesting. So I tried to do my best to get a good setup, and it worked pretty well. I mean, it's pretty, I think it's pretty straight. You can't complain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the other side. Boom. Let's get to sanding. so we have everything sanded, and the last thing to do before putting on the legs and finishing this project is to apply the finish. Now, I was going between using Danish oil and wipe-on poly, and I decided to go the simpler route, more expensive route, but simpler route, and use Rubio Monocoat. Now this thing is a 3-to-1 ratio, and you apply one coat and you're done, which is pretty stinking awesome. And so I'm all for simplicity, so I thought, hey, why not give it a try? It's very expensive. It's originally used for wood flooring, so I know it's durable because it has to be if you're going to use it up to finish floors. So I thought, why not try to give it a go on this project, and hopefully it turns out as good as I hope it does. So what we do is you just mix up 3 parts oil, 1 part hardener, mix it up in a red Solo cup, it so happens, and then you just pour it on with an applicator, let it sit for 5 minutes, wipe it off with a towel, and you're done. Well, it has to wait to cure for 24 hours, but then you're done. So let's get to work. I've done most of this with extremely little. I used a teaspoon. I did 6 teaspoons, not real teaspoons, but like an actual plastic spoon. I did 6 of those to 2, and I still have more in here. So this stuff goes a long way. Alright, it's been a couple minutes. I'm going to start wiping off the top, and then we're going to be done with this. Well, until we put the legs on, and then we'll be done. So, it's pretty simple. You can see the cool thing about this product is it bonds to the fibers of the wood. So once it soaks in, there's nothing more. It won't take any more, so a second coat isn't needed, which is pretty awesome. And so I can see that some excess is coming up. It smells like pumpkin. I don't know why, but this stuff smells like pumpkin. Like when you cut open a pumpkin, and ironically, it's Halloween today. I'm sure not by the time you post this video, but it's Halloween, and this stuff smells like pumpkin. It's weird. Yeah, so now we're gonna wait about 24 hours to 36, that's what the thing says. And then we'll put the legs on, and this project will be done. So we'll see you in about 24 hours. So here it is, the finished product. It is a beautiful piece. Turned out better than I had ever imagined, honestly. This took me from start to finish with drying time. It took me about a month to make. I learned a lot along the way. A lot of stuff you didn't see on camera was hours of sanding. I left the belt sander on too long, and it created a lot of ridges, and so I had to sand all of that out, which took forever. And I also actually I chose a different finish than I originally anticipated. I anticipated to do Danish oil and wipe-on poly, but for some reason I could not get to the streaks out of the polyurethane. So I had enough frustration with it that I said, forget it, and I stripped it all back down and used Rubio Monocoat, which I might add was the best decision I ever made. This thing turned out great. The grain is beautiful in it, and Rubio just made the piece pop to life. So it was super cool. The epoxy held up really, really nicely. I used Total Boat, like I said, and looking back at it, I probably would have used their 5-to-1 epoxy, because I think you can pour it deeper than the high performance 2-to-1. But regardless, it turned out great. I was very precise on the amount of dye that I used for each layer, so you can't really see the layers too much, which is what I worried about. But overall, I'm super happy with the experience. And just to show you, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because I did this with hand tools for the most part. Limited experience. I worked with epoxy with smaller projects, but nothing to this size. And I took my time. I made a lot of mistakes, but that's the point of woodworking. If you're not willing to make mistakes, you shouldn't be willing to woodwork, because woodworking isn't so much about the finished product as it is about making the mistakes and then learning how to fix those mistakes to get a finished product, this is a living testament to it, because trust me, there's a lot of mistakes that were made on this. Overall, I'm super happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part mini-series on how to build this table. It was a life lesson for me, a learning process, and I hope you learned something too. If you haven't already, like this video, smash the subscribe button with a hammer, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.